and welcome to Podtoid. We are your host. I'm CJ.
I'm Dem.
I'm Charlotte.
I'm Occams.
And this is episode 433. Thank you for joining us today. We have a pretty good show for you. I keep writing this wrong, and so I'm going to read it like a dumb person every single time. We have a pretty good show in store today. Unfortunately, Chris Moyse will not be with us as he is in Canada covering the Rainbow Six Siege Invitational. So look forward to hearing all about that next week and more when he is back.
Any excuse not to be on Podtoid.
He will fly over an ocean for 15 hours straight just to avoid talking to us. Ugh.
Shameless.
Ugh. Should fire him and not tell him. Anyways, the show must go on. And on today's episode, we're going to be talking some next-gen pricing, talking some Journey to the Savage Planet, which I'm very excited to hear about. Yakuza Kiwami 2 and Final Fantasy VIII Remastered. And on my little notes, I have to write the number 8 out because every time I see the V with three eyes, I will instinctively call it 7. So to avoid sounding like a dumbass throughout this show, I just have the number 8 all over this little script I've written. And then after the show, it's a brand new installment of Spoilsport where Dan and I will give you the lowdown on the Sonic the Hedgehog movie. As of about 5 minutes before we started recording, they got the weekend box office numbers in. $57 million in its opening weekend. It is the largest opening weekend for a video game movie ever. So,
wow.
Yeah. A lot of money. But before we get into any of that, Occams, welcome back.
Hey, glad to be back.
What were you doing last week? I've completely forgotten.
Oh, I was out of town.
Okay. Nothing exciting out of town? No weird conventions of deformed people and other stuff? That's what I assume you do on your free time.
All right, you know what? I don't appreciate that assumption. They're not weird, and they make delightful sparring partners. So I wouldn't assume so much.
Well then, okay.
It was a clown porn convention. Okay, if you have to fucking know, I went to a clown porn convention. It was a convention about people who like to dress up as clowns and fuck on camera.
So just another average Saturday for Occams then.
Well, like a heavy Tuesday, but yeah.
Weird Joker prequel.
I have a question.
Yeah.
On these porn sets, does everybody dress up as a clown, or is it literally just the porn stars? Is like the camera guy and the fluffer also dressed as clowns just to really get into it?
That's a great question. And when it's more of kind of like an amateur homemade thing, like a bunch of people like come over, we'll have some chicken wings, we'll all have clown sex. Yeah, everyone is dressed as a clown because they're all like tagging in essentially. Professional set, no, the director, producer, cameraman, sound guy, they're all just jeans and a t-shirt or whatever. But the actors are dressed as clowns. And, that's when you get the balloon animals up your ass and stuff like that.
Now, when a woman removes her bra in a clown porn, is it like when a clown takes a handkerchief off or out of his cuff and it just keeps coming out? Like there's just an extending bra that just keeps coming out with a whole bunch of other bras attached to it? I don't watch straight porn, so I don't know.
It's that. It's that. And then when the guy, like if the guy's wearing a thong underwear, like that's the same thing. Although a lot of the times, like what's kind of in vogue right now for clown porn is when the actress takes her bra off, like 1,000 multicolored ping pongs fall out. Like in the Captain Kangaroo, all those Captain Kangaroo fans who listen to us. Hi, I'm old enough.
Facials.
I'm old enough to be your father. Watch Captain Kangaroo.
And now, in a clown porn asshole, is it like a clown car where you just fit a ton of people in there at once?
Oh, yeah. I've seen 3 clown dicks and 1 clown asshole before.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's fine.
Now, the flower that squirts the water, where is that on their body?
It's just, it's like like a ballerina tutu. They just put it out. It's like a cock ring.
That's the facial scene.
Yeah. And like as the guy comes, he has one of those like noisemakers. It's the thing that looks like an L that you kind of like crank and it that thing. Yeah, he has that.
And what kind of clowns are in clown porn? Is it like hobo clown?
Oh yeah, there's hobo.
I said
clown.
hobo, not homo. I want to share that again. Hobo clown.
Well, there's also homo clown, but that's the difference. That's
the hobo
homo
clown. Yeah.
Yeah, and the hobo. It's almost like heavy metal. There's so many different layers. There's so you have your classic hobo clown. You've got like big fat clown. You have the kind of traditional like bozo type clown. Then you have your like what's his? Oh my God, I'm forgetting the name. It's not panini because that's a fucking sandwich, but like the Italian like sad clown. Yeah, you've got those. But then like when people are first starting out, they just essentially they take like a slutty nurse, slutty police officer, whatever, and they make it like they put on clown makeup. But like the OG clown fuckers, they really deep dive. I saw what was it, the saddest clown in the world, that Jerry Lee Lewis movie.
Oh, the day the
clown cried. Yeah, the day the
like
laughter
that.
died.
The one we can't watch.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah,
there's definitely the one cinephile clown saying "Why so serious" while getting fucked in the ass.
Definitely.
Oh yeah,
100%, 100%. And it's one of those things where it's everyone kind of finds their niche, what they're comfortable with, and then they all just raw dog each other. And the nice thing about pancake makeup is it covers up herpes sores really well.
Yeah, yeah. You know what I imagine is a very popular clown in clown porn is the one with the giant pants held up by suspenders, because you just remove the suspenders and pants are down. Yeah.
And the best part is with that, you can actually have sucking your dick in the pants.
What the fuck is this episode? I can't wait for Moyes to listen to this.
Can I say just real quick before we put a button on it? Clown porn is a real thing. I remember in college we would watch Real Sex on HBO, and there was an episode dedicated entirely to clown porn. So there you go.
I don't think I ever watched Real Sex.
It is so good, man. If you can find the old episodes, it was fun. It just was.
I'm legitimately curious how many of them are doing Joker shit now with just Joker being so popular.
Oh, I'm sure a ton. And it was
there's probably dozens of Joker porn parodies in some form or another, whether it's movies or whatever.
Yeah, and there's quite a few like superhero porn parodies. Justice League.
Oh God, I didn't even think about that.
Oh yeah.
So to our audience, if you can find some Joker porn and send it to Dan, it sounds like he's going to be very interested in seeing it.
At me on Twitter, the Twitter I don't use, at 16-bit last power.
The best porno movie ever made, by the way, is Edward Penis Hands.
This is Podtoid.
Let's go ahead and get talking about games, and I'm going to go ahead and start us off. I really didn't do much this week because I got a Netflix subscription, and I found out I do not have the willpower to do anything but watch Netflix when I have Netflix. So I've just been binging all these TV shows for the past few weeks, and it's really been getting in the way of me doing other stuff like working out, playing games, eating. That probably should eat more, but I've just been too addicted. But I did get in a little time with Final Fantasy VIII Remastered, and I'm only about 2 hours into it, but boy, we are really stretching the definition of the word remastered here. I guess if they mean they got it to play on a modern console, then yes, that's a remaster, but it is a weird juxtaposition of seeing these high definition characters up against these incredibly blurry backgrounds from the PlayStation 1 era. And it kind of reminds me of, I don't know if any of you played Dragon Quest IX on the 3D on the DS, but you had your all of the main characters in the game were 3D models, but then you had the villagers who were just villagers in these towns who would be 2D pixels. In that game, the 2D characters were kind of limited and they were just existing in this 3D world, whereas this kind of feels like you have a few 3D characters existing in a 2D world, and it just looks odd. It's taken me a while to get used to, but I think I am getting used to it now. And so one of the things I do love is that the training center at the school at the beginning is just Jurassic Park. Like, that's literally all it is. And then the junction system, which is I've never played this game before, so this is my first time going through it. So the junction system, I'm liking the promise of it right now. But again, only 2 hours in because I had to binge watch 3 seasons of The Good Place in a week and a half for some reason. Well worth it though.
Yeah, The Good Place, watching that the way you did is better than any video game out right now. So you made the right choice.
I'm not going to disagree with that. I very much enjoyed this past week and a half going through those 3 seasons, and I really can't wait to finish that show up. But no, I'm definitely going to be dumping my Netflix subscription. I think I'm going to watch the Bong Joon-ho Okja, however you pronounce
Okja.
it.
Yeah.
I'll watch that tonight, and then I'll just cancel this because it's clearly going to be a hindrance to my ability to play games, write, live a normal life if I don't. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing where that goes, and maybe finally seeing what Chris Carter apparently sees in it. Although I know it has its detractor, so I guess I'll find out. Let's go ahead and move on to Charlotte. Charlotte, you've been on the Yakuza kick recently, and now you're in Kiwami 2.
Yep. And in the notes, I specifically put the cabaret minigame because I have a real problem with the cabaret minigame. I cannot stop playing it once I start, and then I just play that for like 10 hours of the game.
Now, what is the cabaret minigame?
So it is basically you run a cabaret club, which is like a hostess club. And it's basically like a bit like a Diner Dash sort of mini game where you've got to like pair the hostesses up with customers where the traits sort of match up well. Like if a customer wants a hostess who's really skilled or really likes talking, then you've got to match them with the hostess that likes talking. And you get like different ranks of hostesses, and the platinum ones, you can dress them up and buy clothes for them and buy necklaces for them. And also you can recruit new hostesses. And basically in Yakuza 0, so this wasn't in Yakuza Kiwami 1, but it was in Yakuza 0, like a less detailed version of this minigame was in that game. And basically in that one, you were sort of fighting off against other cabaret clubs to become the best club in Sotenbori, which is like a fictional area of Osaka.
Mm-hmm.
And in Yakuza Kiwami 2, it's exactly the same. There's some sort of competition going on. Only this time, instead of it being Goro, who's the head of the cabaret club, it's Kiryu. So this time you're playing as Kiryu, running this hostess club. And yeah, it's a really basic game because it's a mini game within a game. But it's the one thing in Yakuza which I just like want to complete, and you get loads of trophies for completing it, so it's definitely worth doing. And lots of like sub stories open up, so if you train up your platinum hostesses to the highest level, then you unlock their side stories and you learn more about them. So it's definitely worth plunging time into. But at the end of a weekend where you've just spent 10 hours doing hostess stuff, you're like, I just spent 10 hours pretending that I run a nightclub. And it's a bit creepy.
Sometimes you get those side games that are much more interesting than anything in the main game. I remember I did a Destructoid Discusses question on this, and I wrote about how much I love the drug dealing mini game in Grand Theft Auto Chinatown Wars, and how I just spent hours doing that instead of whatever the story asked of me to do.
Yeah, I mean, like Mahjong and I think you can play Go as well in one of the Yakuza games. That doesn't really appeal to me so much.
Mm-hmm.
I'll play like darts and billiards if I'm on a date with somebody, but I won't just go and play it. Bowling's pretty good. And Virtua Fighter the second one is in Yakuza Kiwami 2, which is pretty nice. But to be honest, I feel like a lot of the mini games are sort of take it or leave it. And the cabaret stuff is just really rewarding because it's more than just a mini game. Like you unlock so much stuff by doing it, and also you farm loads of money through doing it. And I'm finding that in Yakuza Kiwami 2, the eating mechanic is slightly different to anything before. So it's not as much tied to your health, but rather to your skill points and like upgrading your skills. So you really want to be spending money on like eating and drinking and lots of other stuff. And you need to farm cash to be able to do that on a regular basis. So I find that I'm definitely going to play the cabaret minigame in one big chunk so that I have a huge amount of money for the rest of the game.
I mean, that seems like the smart way to go about it, especially if you enjoy it and it's not like, a boring task that you're just farming to get that money.
Yeah, I mean, it's better than like running through the streets trying to find locker keys so that I can hopefully find like a diamond plate that I can sell at the pawn shop. At least I'm doing something fun rather than just running around and like selling shit,
Yeah. Now, did you pick up the Yakuza collection that came out this past week with 3, 4, and 5 in it?
Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice.
I will make my way to that at some point. The plan is to finish up to the end of 5 by the end of the year. And I think I'll manage that easily, the rate that I'm going on at the moment.
Speaking of finishing games, did you ever finish The Last of Us?
Shut up.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to Occams. Occams, you have been journeying to this savage planet.
I have been.
Want to tell us about it?
Yeah. So I this was sort of on my radar from a couple trailers and stuff, and then when I read Jordan's review, I was like, because he kind of turned me on to Subnautica, and like, okay, we're similar vibe in terms of what we want out of games like this. I said, I'll check it out. So I game flight it, and it's been really, really fun. I'm looking at my notes here. It says whimsical, fun, small enough to be beaten in 1 or 2 sittings, but large enough to where you could explore and spend time in the world without feeling bored. It really is. Like, it's the kind of game where you can. I think there's an achievement for beating it in under 4 hours, but you can spend a hell of a lot more time just wandering around, which is what I ended up doing. Has a really cartoonish setting, which is fun. It keeps things very light, and it's the survival and kind of upgrade mechanics for your gear and all that. It doesn't feel like one of those games to where it's punishing you if you don't have a certain upgrade, or it's not treating you like we're gonna fuck you. I hate those survival games where it's like that. Like, if you don't eat every 10 minutes, your character has a compound fracture. I'm like, no, that's not fun. I hate those games. So for a survival kind of gathering crafting game, this one I really, really enjoyed, and that's one of my least favorite genres out there. So the plot is relatively thin, but it is told through the story of these live action videos, kind of cutscenes that you get every time you find a new area, you explore, you go back to your ship. They are very, very Adult Swim inspired. I think, at least. The CEO president of this Kindred company that you're working for, it just looks like a crazy person, and he kind of clearly played up for being inept and a little psychotic and very manic and happy, and it's great. But that's all well and good. Kind of tells the story. It's a really unique way to do it. I wish more games would have FMV, like actual cutscenes like that. But there are commercials that play on your little monitor, and they are amazing. So I'll tell you 2 of them, and they're not really spoilers. I mean, they play throughout the entire game. So there's like 5 or 6, and they repeat. There's one where it is sea monkeys. Remember the old sea monkeys, but it's a mall that you put together, and you like add in the little like particles and some mysterious chemical X, and it makes these people. And then it's just a mall, and tiny little people are in a mall, and you can control them and initiate Black Friday mode where they all beat each other to death trying to get the best deal. Which is great. And then there's a 1-900 number commercial that's just for blobs. So it's just like this like steaming pile of purple shit that's like, do you want to talk to the hottest blobs in the galaxy? And it's just like it looks like alien diarrhea on like a silk sheet. But it's got a sexy lady voice. I'm surprised how much fun I'm having with this game. And as you unlock like more abilities, your mobility increases, so you can you can jump a lot higher. You get double jumps, triple jumps. You can kind of swing on vines and create your own vines, and it's really fun. I can't recommend it enough. It's just a simple, fun game. If you like Subnautica, this is really, really, really worth checking out. It truly is.
So definitely worth a rent at the very least.
Yeah. I rent games, period. I buy like 2 games a year, so I'm always renting stuff. But yeah, if you're the kind who likes to purchase the game outright, hell yeah, get this. It's well worth your time. And if I could, I have some other thoughts I'd like to share with y'all.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Thank you so much. All right, my first, I want to give this kind of a quasi shout out. There's a YouTube channel. It's called Bob Tanaka, all one word. Bob, like Twin Peaks, and Tanaka, like the last name of every Japanese henchman in an 80s movie.
Okay.
And he does kaiju appreciation videos. And I never know I needed to see a Biollante tribute video to Evanescence's Wake Me Up Inside. but I kind of fell down this rabbit hole, and this dude's got like 20 or 30 videos, and it's just like Jaguar, but it's set to like a Bowling for Soup song. I mean, it's nuts. They don't make any fucking sense. They're great. Just so Bob Tanaka, and he had like the first video I found had like over 1 million views. So this guy's, these people are appreciating his art.
He found his niche.
He really, really did. So when I was a child, I thought that there were Leonard's Part 1 through 5, and I did. This is true. I tried, like, called Blockbuster to rent them, and no one had them.
Because
Probably
you
for the
love
best.
Leonard Part 6 so much?
Dude, I'm looking at my copy of Leonard Part 6 on DVD right now. Fucking love that movie. Oh, and he's a rapist. That's unfortunate. All right. I want to give a shout out to the keyboardists and metal bands. It's tough to make that look hardcore. And they do a good job of it. All right. I did watch a movie this week. It's maybe not what people have come to expect from me, but I watched Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Oh boy. All right.
Yeah.
So Bryce Dallas Howard had those bangs again, so now there's no excuse. There's no need for bangs. There's no. There was an entire human cloning subplot that was just thrown away. It was just a human. We cloned this person, and like, oh shit, there's a dinosaur. I've noticed because I've watched the I guess the first one of this series, and then this one, and the big bad kind of genetically altered dinosaur. I realized it reminds me of the variants. It's a variant of other dinosaurs, but in the same way in the 90s the Batman toys we had were like just repaints, and like they give him a missile launcher and call him like Arctic Blast or Solar Flare. So I feel like I could do a better job.
Just real quick, so at the end of last year, everyone did their tweets of their favorite film from each year of the last decade, and one of mine was Safety Not Guaranteed, which is directed by Colin Trevorrow and written by, I can't remember his name, but they went on to do the Jurassic World and then Jurassic World 2, which they wrote together. So I can't think of a bigger drop in quality for people than going from one of my favorite films of the last decade to one of my least favorite films of all time.
Yeah, maybe it was like a death by committee kind of studio notes or something, but it was painful. And that they did that scene where the Buffalo Bill killer was talking about the doctor in the back of the car when they were treating the Velociraptor, and it's like, what a nasty woman. And I was like, wait, is that a Hillary Clinton reference? The fuck? Oh, it was an awkward thing. All right, got two more things and I'll shut up.
Okay.
So Chris Pratt found Jesus and lost his charm. So that's unfortunate. And I want to give a shout out to the Goblin dude from Barbarian Sound Studio for getting a paycheck.
My favorite scene is the dinosaur staring at the camera before then killing that dude.
It's so...
If I'm remembering correctly, this one had the dinosaur auction in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did. It had a dinosaur auction in a spooky mansion in the middle of the woods.
I know. It was in like the fucking Spencer mansion, and you've got like the dude, like the old guy who was like John Hammond's friend, who's like, all right, I'm old and I've given my money to this guy to like make the world better. And I'm thinking like, all right, so you still live in the house. Like, when did they build that like giant like dungeon / conference center / jail / like to store all like did that come with the house? and all the geneticists who work in that place to build these Batman variant dinosaurs, do they leave through the front door? Like, how do they get home at the end of the day?
Well, they didn't in this one.
Oh no, they didn't. They didn't. It was such a and then what's his name? Jeff Goldblum is like, we live in Jurassic World now. I'm like, fuck you, fuck you.
And the clone girl's whole logic is they're clones like me, and then releases them all.
I don't. And she was like,
something.
They gave her 2 seconds to come to grips that she is like her dead mom. Spoiler alert. Ugh. And then they're like, no, we're just not going to even consider the moral implications of that.
It's
And
legitimately one of the worst films ever made.
It is so poor, and it made so much money, and they always do. You know,
I kind of love it, honestly.
oh no, I thought it was
the category of I kind of love how bad this is.
You know, I love bad movies, but this one, it was just sort of insulting and boring. And like, you know, what's his name? Bryce Dallas Howard and Chris Pratt have about as much chemistry as two coked up siblings forced to jerk each other off. You know, it's not a great thing.
I really don't understand why film studios continue to try and push Chris Pratt as a dramatic actor. He is not one. He is bad at it. Yeah. Just literally, all he can do is Andy from Parks and Recreation and Star-Lord. That is his range. Keep him in that wheelhouse.
Yeah. No. Like, don't, he doesn't have depth.
No.
At least as an actor. And now he's found Jesus, which means he has less depth than he had before.
Jesus a while ago.
Yeah, you know, that ain't helping. No. When it's that annoying, not all Jesus is bad, but like, it's that annoying Jesus, you know, where they're like really proud of the cross they're wearing. Like, okay, guy, we get it.
No. Far more annoying than that is he refuses to shoot a film not in the United States.
Really?
Yes.
Why?
Haven't a clue. I think he said it was something about like being close to his family, but they can all come with you. It's the beauty of being a rich movie star.
That's why I like guys like Willem Dafoe. Willem Dafoe's like, yeah, I'm gonna do anything. I'm gonna fucking star in this project. And I was watching YouTube last night, and I didn't know he was in the Aquaman movie because I didn't see the Aquaman movie, but I will watch the fight scenes on YouTube. And there's like goddamn Willem Dafoe. I'm like, hell yeah, Willem Dafoe. You get that money so you can just go paint weird shit for a year in Prague.
Willem Dafoe, just the concept of Willem Dafoe always makes me laugh.
Aubrey Plaza had a great joke about him at the Independent Spirit Award. She says that after years of looking like a tired, old, cranky lighthouse keeper, he finally got the role of his dreams.
And it was brilliant.
Yeah.
This is Podtoid.
All right, let's go ahead and move on. That is it for games, which means it is time for the news.
This is the news.
And you haven't heard that yet, Occams. That's our new news sound.
Yeah. I heard it. I listened to last week's episode. That cracked me up very much.
All right. Not really a lot happening this week. There was no Nintendo Direct, despite the collective willpower of everyone on Twitter trying to make it so. We also haven't had the official reveal of the PlayStation 5 yet, as we were told we would totally happen this month. But this week we learned that there may actually be a reason for that. As reported in Bloomberg, the PlayStation 5 is shaping up to be an expensive piece of hardware to put together. According to this report, the manufacturing cost of all the components going into the PlayStation 5 total around $450. Mind you, this is just for the shit that is in the box. It does not cover the cost to manufacture it, advertise it, ship it, etc., etc. This means that Sony is either going to take a heavy loss on this console, or it may be we may be looking at something close to PlayStation 3 era prices. At minimum, you're looking at probably $499, and we can probably speculate that the Xbox Series X is going to sell at minimum of the same price. However, Microsoft is a $1 trillion company, so they can probably afford to take a bigger loss to get the upper hand on Sony than Sony can. So if it does retail for $499, that's $100 more than the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One launched for, and is $100 more than what the PlayStation 4 Pro costs now. But this is what everything these consoles are supposed to have, or at least the PlayStation 5 is supposed to have. Backward compatibility, ray tracing, a custom solid-state drive, 8 cores, 16 CPUs, Ultra HD Blu-ray, 8K resolution, adaptive triggers on the controller and haptic feedback on the controller, and a custom graphics processor. When you look at all of that on what it would cost on a PC, $500 doesn't seem so bad. But I just want to hear from you guys. Like, now, Charlotte, I know you never buy a console until it's been outdated for at least 7 years.
Wow, harsh. True, but yeah.
True.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I might make an exception for the PS5. I've said this before, I think, on the podcast. I feel like there's been a real repositioning of gaming in general as more like, even I'd say 5 years ago, maybe with the release of the PS4, it was like more of a mixed teenager adult sort of thing, whereas like they're really going in on the high tech and being able to use it with a full integrated entertainment system now. So I feel like when they're selling new games consoles, like the older has an income sort of target market is a lot larger nowadays. So I don't think it's that bad, to be honest, that it's the release price is going to be more expensive. I mean, back in the day, the release price for the PS3 was ridiculous because it was mostly going to be parents buying it for their children, whereas now it's like parents buying it for themselves. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, if I look at it through someone who is my age, who grew up with NES and then so on and so forth, the PlayStation 3 came out right when I was going to college or getting out of college? I was nearing the end of my college experience when the PlayStation 3 came out, and that is definitely not a time that I have $600 to burn on a brand new console. My friend did, and so we played that Resistance game. I think that was about it before he went off into the Coast Guard. But yeah, and so I am definitely in a better position now that if I wanted to, by the time both these consoles launch, I could probably buy both of them. Definitely could buy one of them, probably could buy both of them. And so, yeah, I think now, just looking at what my age is and what my income level is, it's a lot more acceptable if they go a little more high end.
I don't mind the price. That's what I expect. If it was like $300, I would be really, really suspect. Like that would be more alarming to me than if it was $600.
Yeah.
So my issue, it's not even an issue really. So you were listing all these things. You said backwards compatibility, and you said something about cores and ray tracing. I don't know what the fuck any of that means. And like I know there are people who do, and that's all well and good. But I guess for me, I just want to see the games. Like what's gonna sell me on this is not backwards compatibility. That's really nice. And if it goes all the way to like PS1, that's amazing. But like I just want to see what the games are like, That's been the number one thing for me since I've been old enough to game, getting past the Nintendo versus Genesis wars of our early years.
Yeah.
But like it's just been like, what are the games? That's why I went to Xbox for the 360 came out, because they had games I wanted to play and my friends wanted to play them. I just want to see the games, man. And I'm at a place in my life I can afford, if it's $500 or $600. Yeah, I can swing that. It's just a matter of if I want to.
I mean, the whole selling at a loss thing isn't a surprise to me. The PlayStation 3 sold at a loss, even at $599 at launch.
Yeah.
They're going to make their money back off software. And on the note, yeah, they'll probably, start showcasing software. They always do this. They always talk about the hardware first because they want to cater to the enthusiasts first, and then eventually they'll rope everyone else in with games. Or at least that's generally the smart idea. So I suspect we'll probably see a thing this summer. PlayStation will do their own thing, probably around E3, which will be extra funny, and they'll probably show off games then. Not even like poor E3. Fuck E3. Fuck the ESA.
Jeff Keighley will 100% be at that PlayStation 5 reveal.
Oh yeah, I didn't.
If it's around E3,
that is spot on.
I remember when we were kids. We were early college years, so this would have been early 2000s, and this was before like the internet was as proliferated as it is now. We would download the trailers and burn them to a disc, and then bring them to a friend's house and have like a big like viewing party to watch all the trailers together.
And yeah, you can still do that, just like on YouTube now. Here's the trailers. You don't need a dude on stage who wants to be clapped for.
It's an event, though, when you bring those trailers to your friends, and it's something you're all get excited about. I mean, I'm kind of with you, Occams. I liked doing stuff like that.
I do that all the time, though. Like when Nintendo has a Direct, I did a Discord call with all my friends, with like 10, 11 people, and we're all excited as hell, and we're watching it remotely. I don't need to fly to some expensive shithole city and sit there and watch an executive talk for 20 minutes and get clapped for, and then ask you, okay, we gotta move now to this building. Everyone go to this building. We got more trailers to show you, and a dude's gonna play a flute.
Yeah, I don't think I'm defending like the E3 like going to it. I was just talking about the fun we had when we were younger of like gathering together under this this kind of banner of this medium we love to watch these trailers and like celebrate, like seeing them for the first time together, knowing that X amount of time later we were going to play them, and like just kind of building the excitement for it. I mean, I so many
I
great
just don't think
memories
that's
of
going
that.
away though. I just think that's still going to be a thing, even when Sony does their own thing and Nintendo does their own thing. Like,
Yeah, I never said it was going away.
okay.
I was just thinking more about the idea of what E3 used to be for us as an experience, not that experience has just shifted over. For you, it's on Discord. For me, it's going on Destructoid comments and kind of live commenting with everyone else. It's just I was just kind of walking down memory lane a little bit.
I definitely think the ease of access has made some events like this a bit less special because they're available 24 hours a day as soon after they air, and it's not something that you really have to plan and schedule around anymore. You can just fit it into wherever your schedule would be. I mean, hell, we now all have internet on our phones, and so we don't even have to be around a television or a computer when these things are airing. We just watch it literally wherever we are on this planet.
Yeah, I was talking to the colleague of mine who's a bit younger, and the idea of we used to make mix CDs and mix tapes and stuff, and like we'd like I know, right? And we would find a band and be like, "This is our band." Like when I was a kid, it was like, "This is Nirvana," and I'm like, "I love Nirvana. I'm going to go to the store and buy these Nirvana, CDs, and like this is amazing." And I asked this person, like, what music, like, who's doing it for you? Who's your Nirvana? Who's your Smashing Pumpkins? I'm so dating myself. And it's just, and they kind of went like, I mean, we have Spotify, and we just listen to like everything. And I was like, and I feel like there's, yeah, like you said, that there's that specialness, for lack of a much better term, isn't there. And I think it's easy just to watch and go, oh, okay. And you don't really hold on to that moment the way we did when we were younger, because we had to. I had my one tech buddy who could burn it all to a CD and we'd watch it. But, it was a lot harder to get that stuff and keep it. And so I guess we appreciated it more. Yeah, I think that's what I'm saying. I don't know. I'm reminiscing now.
It is weird, and I'm going to date myself too. I think just having this conversation is dating us. Of going from someone who enjoyed the types of stuff that we take kind of for granted today, because like you remember how rare it was to get a superhero film back when we were kids.
Yeah.
And we maybe had one or two superhero cartoons, and now that's everything. That is everything revolves around Marvel and maybe what DC is doing. And there are 15, 20 different superhero shows on television. And so it feels weird to go to be in an age where you're catered to so perfectly. Like everything that I wanted as a kid is finally happening, and it's weirding me out entirely. I never thought for a second we'd get a Harley Quinn movie when I first saw her in Batman animated series.
Yeah, it's like, do you remember growing up and like what the X-Men cartoon on Fox?
Oh hell yeah!
Like that was a fucking event for all of us, and we would just wig out. Oh my god, let's fucking Cable showed up. What's gonna happen next? We'd go nuts for it, because that was what we had. And then I remember when the Spider-Man movie came out. God, what 2000, 2001 maybe? I guess yeah, because. I guess they had to cut that Twin Towers promo, so I guess it was 2001. And like this was like, it was kind of a curiosity, and like there were all these nerds lined up for that, and that kind of partially kicked it off. Yeah, and nowadays, like being a nerd, I was talking to someone else about this recently. Being a nerd is cool. When back in the day, it was the purview of like your dorky little brother or sister, and just the kids who got picked on. But now it's chic.
I mean, in relation to E3 though, I remember watching E3 on Spike TV, and then right after there, The Men's Show, or whatever the fuck that shit was.
The Man Show with Jimmy Kimmel and Adam Carolla. Ziggy Zaggy, oi, oi, oi. Ah, we should get some juggies on this show.
I think video games, though, have been cool, or air quote cool, for a long time now.
Yeah, we've always known that. It's just it's weird to now have it be 100% mainstream, completely catering to everything that you wanted as a child is what you're getting now. And at certain points, that becomes annoying, like the endless fascination with the 80s and having to shoot the horn that into every fucking property. But yeah, that was a weird tangent for us to go off of, especially coming from.
No, I was sitting there like trying to
5.
connect this to E3, and I was like, what the hell? Anyways.
But just in defense of E3, and I barely have anything to defend it, it is an experience. It's not something having gone as a journalist, it's not something I would ever want to do as a visitor. Like, no way in hell. But it is an experience.
Really selling it.
I know. That's about all I can say.
And maybe that's my
It's an
disconnect because I've never been to it. But like, I've been watching E3 since those early 2000s, like tuning into Spike TV and like setting a time and everything. But I feel like that magic hasn't left. I can't remember like a distinct moment from 2004's E3 on fucking Spike or whatever. But I can still remember like being in the Discord call I was in. If it was even Discord, I'm not even sure. I can't even remember that aspect. But like losing my fucking mind with my friends at the Final Fantasy VII remake announcement. Like, those moments are still there, and they can still be easily done as PlayStation do their own thing and Nintendo Direct becomes its own thing. Like, I just don't think E3 is needed in that sense anymore.
I want to say 2004 E3 had the reveal of Twilight Princess.
There you go. Hey, you know what? Good point. That definitely. I remember that crowd reaction, losing their fucking minds. It's not cartoony linked anymore.
Yeah.
Is that the one where...
Remember that outcry? Holy shit.
Is that the one where Miyamoto came out with the sword and the shield?
Yeah. People lost
I think
their
so.
minds.
Yeah.
That may have been the next year. I can't remember.
That was fun.
This is Podtoid.
All right. We are just about out of time, but before we go, Occams, do we have a community shout out this week?
Always and always. Community shout out. Actually, it's gonna go to a tag of Valentine's Day, Valentine's Toid. Everyone who shared a happy Valentine. That's nice. It made me smile. A lot of good ones, a lot of weird ones, a lot of unfortunate ones. Might have saved a couple to my phone for future use. You never know. And it was sweet to see everybody share Valentine's Day greetings with everyone else. So thank y'all as always.
European Speedrunner Assembly winter event for 2020 is on right now. It started literally about a few hours ago, and it's on for the rest of the week. So make sure you pop to twitch.tv/ESA Marathon. They are raising money for Save the Children, so it's all for a very good cause.
Nice. Very nice.
That's
Save
awesome.
the children.
A much better ESA.
There you
Yeah,
go.
I always feel a bit nervous when people are slagging off the other ESA because I'm like, but my ESA raises money for charity.
I felt the same way when the World Wildlife Federation came into the wrestling thing. Bummed me out.
Don't even get me started on that fucking panda.
All right. That is it for our show. On behalf of Dan, Occams, Charlotte, and myself, thank you for listening. And don't forget to subscribe on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Podbean, or the Destructoid YouTube channel. Okay, are they gone?
I think so.
All right, it's time for Spoilsport. Hello, welcome to Spoilsport. It is the show after a show where we discuss the latest in Hollywood movies. Nope, this is a terrible opening. I really should have written this out.
If you survive the clown sects,
yeah,
we're now here to talk about a kids movie.
What rating do you give this show? It's like, it's kind of rated X at the beginning, but then PG at the end, and it's a mess.
Advertisers never ever. That's the rating.
But welcome to Spoilsport, where we talk about just the latest and popular movies, usually around superheroes, video game movies, etc., etc. And today I'm joined with Dan as we talk about the Sonic the Hedgehog movie. This has been an interesting ride to get this film to release, because I think it was... I didn't have faith in this movie when it was first announced, and then as development kept going on, I didn't gain any more faith or necessarily lose any more faith. But then when we saw the first trailer... what was that? That was early last year. Boy, that did not paint a good picture of this film, right, Dan?
I mean, I remember the foot posters before the trailer even came out. Like people on Twitter and Instagram, like just sharing photos of that weird like Golden Gate Bridge where like Sonic, you don't see Sonic, but you see his feet for some
His
reason.
long spindly legs.
Weird.
Yeah.
Oh, so weird.
Yeah, and so this has been it's been weird, and I didn't anticipate that it was going to be good. And then after they revealed that trailer with the original Sonic look, there's the huge backlash, and so it was pushed back so the special effects company could go replace it out with a Sonic that looks like Sonic. And they went out of business, and that's that's just part of the course for the special effects industry, but that kind of sucks because,
yeah,
Dan, I think you would agree with me, that redesign kind of saved this film.
No, yeah, and they got like some really notable talent, including the guy they got the guy that like worked on the Sonic Mania animation and stuff to like kind of like give his thoughts on the design and everything. So that was really cool. But they got rid of the human teeth. That probably mattered the most, I think, because the human teeth were very unsettling.
And those small eyes, those haunt me. So let's go ahead and get right into this. Talk about the movie. Starts out Sonic's Homeworld, which looks like a very, very beautiful recreation of what we've been playing in Sonic video games since the 90s.
And one thing that has me curious is I'm wondering if we ever get like a Blu-ray release, if they'll ever include like the original cut, because I am very curious what the original world might have looked like, the weird owl thing, and more notably the things that were chasing them, because they looked very much like Sonic characters, like they looked like echidnas, like Knuckles. And I was sitting there the whole time thinking to myself, imagine what they would have been before.
You know what? I had that exact same thought, especially for one specific character who's in the post-credit scene that we'll talk about.
Yeah.
What were their original designs? And it does make you think for a second that it wasn't just about redesigning Sonic. They had all of these other characters, even though they're in it just momentarily, that they have to redesign as well. Because you were right. How do you pronounce it again? Echidnas?
Yeah, I believe so.
I have no idea how to say that. So I was just like, Echinidas? I don't know. They looked like they were from Sonic Adventure. Like that's exactly what they looked like. And so they nailed that design. They nailed the look of his world. I love what it looks like. And so you have this young child Sonic running around where he's being kept or protected by Longclaw the Owl. Now, this may be the weirdest thing in this entire movie.
Yeah, I don't know. I was having a hard time thinking to myself, like, is this from like a comic or something? Like, is this a real character? Or is this a character they made up in the movie?
Yeah, I couldn't figure that out either, and I guess I'd have to go look through all those Archie comics and see if maybe it appears there, she appears there. But
yeah, I'm in the same boat of like, I played the games and I don't recognize this character at all.
My initial thought when I saw Longclaw was that she reminded me of Owl from Night into Dreams and Journey into Dreams. Because there is the owl character in that, but it's different, obviously, because this one's more sleek and slender. But like that was the closest approximation of any Sega character that I could tie to Longclaw. So it was very weird to just introduce this character because she is in this movie for a minute, 90 seconds at most.
It goes. This movie is just, it's consistent, but it goes. Like it's not, I wouldn't say well paced. It's very fast.
Yeah, like Sonic. It is just moving through. So as we saw from the trailers, rings in this movie are not necessarily what we think of them as in the Sonic games, but actually we should, because the rings, when you go and get the Chaos Emeralds, those are always giant ones that take you to different worlds, and that's clearly
to the special world.
Yeah, special world. That's clearly what they were working with here, because as Sonic and Longclaw are being chased by these empanadas. Nope, see, lost it. Don't know how to say it anymore.
Echidnas.
Empanadas, yes, okay.
Knuckle lookalikes.
Yeah, the knuckle lookalikes. She sends him to our world through one of these rings and tells him that he has great power. Everyone's going to try and take it from him. So if he needs to stay hidden, and if he's ever discovered, just go to a new world. And so it jumps ahead 10 years, and he's in the town of Green Hills. Now, This was the first image I remember seeing when we saw the first images of the Sonic movie, is that big "Welcome to Green Hill" sign, and I remember kind of hating that idea, like, they're totally gonna get this wrong.
Just the idea of like Green Hills, Montana.
Yeah.
Fuck.
And if I don't bring this up later, by the way, their road trip would not be completed as quickly as it is in this movie, going from Montana to San Francisco. Just want to throw that out there. There's like a day of footage missing. Anyways, it kind of works. Having this little town of Green Hills. And so we catch up with Sonic 10 years later. He's established a life for himself in this cave, and he secretly hangs out with the local sheriff, who he calls the Donut King, but is actually Tom, who was played by James Marsden. In this moment, there's a bit of exposition as he tells you about his life, and there's this thing that I love that they always do with super fast characters. First of all, very good for Sonic to learn how to read English. I was very, very happy about that, because he has the stack of Flash comics that he goes through. But they always show someone who has super speed reading super fast, as if the ability to run really fast also means that your brain can comprehend words that you're reading really fast. That's just like a trope they always do, and I just always fascinated by it. Also, the playing ping pong with yourself. That's another one.
My favorite is a little side character that is never really shown much in the movie. He's a chainsaw-wielding homeless man who's after the Blue Devil. And they show this one brief little scene where he shows a drawing, and it's that Sonic meme, that terrible drawn Sonic meme or whatever. That's the only thing in the movie that got a chuckle out of me, like legitimately.
I agree with you. I laughed heartedly at that part, and I was the only one in the theater laughing because I was the only one who got it. It was
sinking her.
It was mostly little kids in my theater, so I had to go up to the balcony where kids aren't allowed, just so I wouldn't be surrounded by those little snot-nosed youths.
For whatever reason, my dad decided to tag along. He was going to drop me off. I was like, he's probably going to look at stuff in the mall. But no, he's like, yeah, I'll come watch the movie. So I was sitting there like, guess I'm buying another ticket. I had like secondhand embarrassment for about the first 10 minutes or so, because we were surrounded by a family with a kid on one side and another family and kids on the other. So we were squeezed between children. So I was just sitting there with my notepad with like full blown like embarrassment. Like, here I am fucking watching this movie, taking notes.
It's much easier. It's much easier when you're alone. You're not like with parents and then surrounded by a bunch of kids. It was
yeah.
So we find out that Sonic has this life that he's made for himself, but he's super lonely because he can't expose himself to anyone. That's a weird way of saying that.
Oh man.
I mean, he's not wearing pants, so he's always exposing himself to everyone. But like he can't make himself known. And so one night, in like a fit of anger and sadness, he runs so fast that he wipes out electricity to a good chunk of the United States and probably Canada as well, because they are in Montana after all. Yeah. When this happens, the government calls in Dr. Robotnik, who is played by Jim Carrey. He shows up and he does that moment from the trailer where he's just messing with the soldier and then sends his drones out to hunt for this creature. Sonic's backup plan is to use a ring to escape to a new world if he is ever found out about. But as he does this, Tom shoots him with a tranquilizer, and Sonic accidentally drops his bag of rings onto the Transamerica Pyramid in San Francisco. I feel like if I explained how that happened, it would just be even more confusing. But let's just say the ring that he was going to use to go to a new world instead opened a portal to San Francisco.
Because he was looking at Tom's T-shirt that had an image of San Francisco on it.
I believe it was Tom's tight T-shirts. I believe.
That's the way you describe it. Yeah, your tight T-shirt, Jesus, Sonic.
Yeah. And I've been to the Transamerica building pyramid. It's very nice. I will say their depiction of San Francisco here is a lot cleaner than the actual San Francisco.
Well, you can't smell it, so.
Yeah, that's true. And so then they have this brief encounter with Robotnik where he's punched in the face, gets knocked the fuck out. And then Sonic and Tom hit the road to San Francisco to get the rings back. And this begins the road trip that is... this has pretty much everything I would have expected from this film to do. There's a scene where they're at a hotel room and Sonic just does everything you can do in a hotel room. And
creates a bucket list. Yeah.
Yes. They go to a biker bar and it's just like, gee, I wonder if there's going to be a big fight at this biker bar. That would certainly be different in a movie, right? They never have fights in biker bars.
Never ever.
Never. And then that, of course, that fight scene has the requisite. Everyone is moving in slow motion or completely stopped as Sonic runs around the room, setting up falls and saving Tom, and just doing everything he can, eating chili dogs really fast, as I remember.
Which I'll
at one
say,
point.
like the Sonic moments of him being fast are probably like the best action moments throughout the movie. So
yeah, they are. It's just that it's something I've seen so many times before. It has to do maybe a little bit more to excite me. And I did love that they brought in the chili dogs into it and that he scarfed them all down.
One thing though, to pump the brakes a little.
Yeah.
Can we describe Tom's logic and reasoning for wanting to go to San Francisco? See, he's a small town cop.
He is a sheriff.
He wants to be.
Yes.
He's a sheriff, which I imagine pays pretty good. He has a really nice house,
A stupidly nice house, yeah.
Stupidly nice house. And then they show off this shitty website that I've never heard of that I hear is popular, I guess, for finding apartments in San Francisco. And I noticed the price on it was $4,000 a month, which already sounds insane to me. So he wants to now move from this beautiful house in Montana, which throughout the movie looks pretty nice.
Oh, definitely.
Dare I say, Green Hills, Montana looks like a swell place. And he wants to go to San Francisco to be a big city cop now. Why?
Yes. And
it just sounds like a fucking step back.
It
Maybe
definitely
that's like
does.
My bias towards San Francisco and the smell of San Francisco and the homeless people and all the things I've heard about San Francisco. Being a big city cop in SF sounds terrifying.
I will say going from being a sheriff to a beat cop in San Francisco is probably not a good career move when you're in your 40s like James Marsden is. Maybe that should not be the direction you go with your career, but okay. Yeah, the logic there was not sound. And I'm just going to assume that his wife, Maddie, has a very good paying job because
she's a vet. She's a vet in Montana, which I imagine also pays really well. And now she'll go be a vet in San Francisco, I guess, which I imagine will still pay probably even better, but I don't know. Being a beat cop suddenly in a big city like that sounds worse.
I just love the idea that they think they're going to live in San Francisco. Like, you're not going to live in San Francisco. That's not going to happen.
They found that they used that website, though, that they, whatever it was called.
$4,000 a month. Come on.
We'll get into that about like the advertising in this movie.
Where were we? So like you have they're on the road trip. They stop at the hotel. And then the next day is when they're attacked by the drones on the highway. And this is another scene that you've seen from the trailers. All of this time, Robotnik, mostly he is just sticking it out in his big rig, his drone big rig, just dancing, acting a fool. I thought that Jim Carrey was going to be like the most watchable thing in this movie. I thought he was going to chew the scenery completely through. He's actually, given what he does in this movie, almost restrained in what he could do as Robotnik. Like, I don't think he actually goes as far as he could have, and that kind of makes it makes his scenes a lot more bearable to watch. Because I think if he would have gone completely over the top, it would have just been a lot more eye-rolling.
Yeah, it really was just kind of Jim Carrey, though, being Jim Carrey, honestly. Yeah. I didn't really get much of a Robotnik vibe, but I don't know.
It certainly felt restrained compared to what he did with the Riddler. That was my thought as I left the theater. It was like, this is a lot less out there than that one was. But then again, that was 25 years ago, Jim Carrey. So
yeah,
I really enjoyed this whole action sequence with the drones on the highway and how they destroy one and then drops down into a smaller one and then keeps going, and then they destroy that one and it drops down to a smaller one and keeps going, and they destroy that one and it drops down to a smaller one and keeps going. Like, I like this.
And then
this
the
is
tiniest one is the one that does them in, which I thought was great.
That final small robot that cuts off the top of their truck, turns it into a convertible, that actually shows the one slight issue with going back and just redesigning Sonic and not reshooting everything else in this film. It's because the original Sonic design didn't have gloves. If you remember, it had the white hands.
Yeah.
So in this scene, you have this robot that keeps sticking to him, and he gets it on his hand, and you just think, take off your glove and throw it. until I remember, oh, that's right, he wasn't wearing a glove in the original design. They're just going to have to act like he can't take his glove off, or that nobody thought to do that.
Yeah, on that note, I remember going back to the poster of seeing his weird feet. I wonder if he was like barefoot in his original design. I can't remember. But I remember like them like tracking down like footprints in the forest, or Robotnik was, and distinctly being like, oh, that would have made a lot more sense if there was like bare feet there or something. I don't know. I could be wrong on that though.
Oh, because it was the shoe design, and then he had to like go in and use his computer technology to graph the shape of the foot.
Yeah. So I can't remember if he was actually barefoot in the original design or not that early on in the movie. I don't know.
I mean, I'm looking at one from later in the trailer where all the missiles are around him, and he does have the shoes on that he gets in the film. But he might have been. He had janked up shoes in this movie, so.
But like on that note though of his design,
yeah, there
were still moments for like from far away he looked fine. I was like, oh, that looks like Sonic. But whenever he did close to him in this movie, still looks a little gross. Little on the gross side. Like he has like this weird 5 o'clock shadow of like fur on his face. It's weird. Realistic fur stuff is kind of like,
you know what? I didn't really have that feeling at all in this film, and I think it's because I was giving them the benefit of the doubt, knowing what they had to do and how little time they had to do it. So,
but he also does floss, which upsets me. So that made me gross on a different level.
That was I was expecting more moments like that, and so I was glad they restrained themselves to just one.
Yeah.
I
will say though, the kids in the theater, they loved this movie. There was so much laughter. Man, the theater I was in was packed, which surprised me, and the amount of laughing was just insane. Like every scene, massive like applauses of laughter. I was like, holy shit, what am I? Where am I right now?
I definitely didn't have that at my showing, but there were kids laughing at moments that I was like, that was supposed to be a joke. Like, oh wait, nope. Remember, PG film aimed at kids. Stop being cynical. So, yeah, there were definitely moments like that. I know I laughed during this film. I honestly can't remember what it was though that made me laugh outside of the Sonic picture.
For me it was just the Sonic picture.
So, anyways, Sonic and Tom make it to San Francisco, where Maddie, Tom's wife, is visiting her sister. She was great. I like that. Yeah. And I like the relationship that they do between Tom and Maddie, where it's just kind of, in any other film where, maybe not in any other film, but in most other films where the husband is now wanted by the FBI because he's on the news they're saying he's a terrorist. You'd have this moment of doubt with the wife where she's just like, I don't know who you are anymore. I can't trust you. But they're just like so in sync, high-fiving each other. I love their relationship in this movie because it felt much more natural than what I have seen in other films that do put characters in similar situations.
Yeah, and a lot of that does boil down to, I think, because it was a PG film, and like this is aimed at kids, so we can't go into this weird relationship dynamic too much. So
yeah, and as a side note, I'm really glad we've reached a point in movies where having an interracial couple isn't a plot line. It's just a thing.
Yeah, it's just a thing. Yeah.
After watching 3 seasons of The Good Place, I'm like, oh, we finally reached this point. I'm so happy. So that's a side note. Anyways, so Maddie and Tom take Sonic to the top of the Transamerica Pyramid where he gets his rings back. But Robotnik is there. And actually, this is the moment. This is the other moment that made me laugh, is that they call him Robotnik throughout the entire film. And then Sonic says to him, "You've been chasing me down with these eggs, Eggman." So they managed to fit Eggman, his other name, into this movie. In a completely organic way, because those drones do look like eggs.
Unlike the ending of this film, which we'll get to. Because, man, was I just like... There's one moment of this movie that just turned me off. We'll get to it, so...
Okay. Well, I'll have to know that... we're almost to the end of this movie anyway, so... Early in the film, Sonic lost one of his quills that is imbued with his super speed powers.
Eggman, unlimited power.
Apparently. Yes, unlimited power. Because I was going to make a Genesis does, but what Nintendo don't, but I can't do it anymore. I don't know where I was going to go with
damn it.
16-bit blast power. Sure, that's something. So you get this, so he is able to move at super speeds as well. Sonic throws Tom and Maddie off the top of the Transamerica Pyramid, down through one of their rings, that just, thank God for them. It happened to go to a barn that was filled with hay.
Yeah.
Yes, in Green Hills. Because, it seemed like they should have died there. But again, PG film for kids.
Yeah.
And so you get this this chase sequence between Sonic and Robotnik as they're going through and destroying the streets of San Francisco, which is about how I remember it. Yeah. I assume that's why there's always construction there, because there's a super genius always just blowing shit up. That has to be explain it. But they start jumping through rings and they're going to different parts of the world. They go to the Great Wall of China. They go to the pyramids of Giza. Robotnik just wantonly blows up the Sphinx. I just like that.
Like blows it up. For context for our listeners, Sonic is like throwing down these rings, trying to escape by going in different portals. But Eggman and his unlimited power quill machine is now just as fast as him.
Yes.
And just follows him through these rings. So
and then eventually they end up in Green Hill. I can't remember how they end up in Green Hill. I just know that they end up in Green Hill through one of the rings, where it looks like Robotnik's going to win. He's got all of his missiles going on Sonic. And by the way, my favorite part of this is, well, not my favorite part of this, but I love how it is daytime in San Francisco. And then when they get to China, it's also daytime. And when they get to the pyramids of Giza, it's also daytime. But when they get to Green Hill, it's night. Like, what is going on? How much running did we miss?
He went through probably like that whole, like, the only thing I can think of is he went through that entire bag of rings and they just did that off camera. So he probably went through and destroyed a whole bunch of other places in the world before finally getting to Montana.
But they get there, and so you have Robotnik with all of his missiles aimed at Sonic, who's knocked out and, we presume injured or dead. And you have all of these townspeople who are just standing around like, there's missiles in that. Why aren't you running for your lives?
And who, by the way, probably
for them?
Don't, like, they probably have heard the crazy dude talk about the Blue Devil, but do they know Sonic?
No.
Like, does it ever establish that they now suddenly know Sonic? But then they all defend Sonic, so.
They're all just totally okay with him at that point because he's real now, and if he's real, then he must be on our side and worth protecting. But then you have, like you said earlier, Sonic made a bucket list of everything that he wants to do, and the last thing on his bucket list was make a real friend. Tom at one point says that he is his friend, which wakes Sonic up and gets him to about as close as what we could probably say is supersonic. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, he gets blue electricity around him, I guess.
Yeah.
Not quite supersonic, but
we also
we'll
find
get
out
their problem in the sequel.
Yeah, that's the sequel. We also found out that Sonic is not the only person who can use these rings, because Tom throws a ring and it opens up a portal, so it looks like anyone who just has the ring can use it.
Yeah.
And then this is my favorite moment of the film when Sonic defeats Robotnik, that they use the same maneuvers that he uses in the game to do so. That he is, turns into his ball, jumps on top of his flying machine a bunch of fucking times until he destroys it, and then throws him through the ring to the fungus world that Sonic was thinking that he would have to go through this entire movie. I love that they incorporated actual gameplay from the game into this moment. I thought that was a nice sign of respect for the source material.
Unlike the ending of this movie, where after they defeat Dr. Robotnik, the general of whatever the fuck gives them an Olive Garden gift card. And not only that, earlier in the movie, they have a phone call where they drop like an Olive Garden like quote over a phone call.
When
like,
you're there,
we're
your family.
Yeah. Oh my god. Wow, that was a laugh. Jesus. That scene pulled me so fucking hard out of the movie in that moment. I was like, wow.
I'd also like to point out that Green Hill, I think they said only has like a couple hundred people in it. They definitely don't have an Olive Garden there. So that's like something they have to drive to go use that $50 gift card.
Well, they got rings. Hop to a ride back to San Francisco and go to Olive Garden. That'll be the setup to the sequel. That's how the sequel will start, of them taking a ring to San Francisco to go to Olive Garden.
Well, if there is a sequel, we do know one character who will be in it because they showed up at it's not an end credit scene, but it's the last scene of the credits. Tails comes through their own portal.
And that credit segment, by the way, is gorgeous.
It's
probably my favorite part of the movie, which is, well, it's something.
It's it's just the whole movie recreated in the 8-bit or 16-bit Sega Genesis style Sonic games. You're right. It's very beautiful. It's fun to watch. But yeah, no, you have Tails shows up with obviously he has an invention because he's Tails. And then he flies off to look for Sonic.
He's gonna find Sonic and find out his first best friend is some dude. So,
and again, we talked about it earlier. Imagine what Tails' original design was.
There is a version of this film somewhere on the cutting room floor with Gangsters in Paradise or whatever. Just somewhere in the movie. And all kinds of terrifying things that I really want to see, honestly.
I do too. I absolutely hope the Blu-ray of this film comes with the original cut. Because
it would sell me, so
it would be
I need
well
to
worth
see
it.
this.
I came to this movie with the lowest of expectations, especially when you consider the writers of the film. Their filmography includes National Lampoon's Dorm Days, National Lampoon's Dorm Days 2. I've made fun of them on the show before because they've made crap. And to my credit, they do deliver a movie that is 100% derivative. Like this, there is no new exciting ideas anywhere in this film. The story beats are all predictable, and I don't just mean in the hero's going to win at the end type of way, but in a you can predict what's going to happen in every scene as soon as they arrive on location. Except with maybe tying up the sister in San Francisco. I didn't necessarily see that coming, but I did enjoy it.
I also didn't see the ending of the movie being an Olive Garden ad, but here we are.
And then yet I could pull this film apart, but I don't hate it.
I'm in the same boat. If I were like 9 years old and I saw this, I probably would have loved it. So I think it's a solid kids movie. I think it has a start, middle, and end, and I think that is an accomplishment in today's cinema. Yeah. Having to start, middle, end to a movie is like weirdly hard nowadays. I can get into that rant, but I won't. And yeah, Jim Carrey, he's Jim Carrey, but I don't know. I still like Jim Carrey being Jim Carrey, I guess. So it's something.
I love that his associate just disappears.
Yeah.
Like he's in the one scene and then you just never see him again.
He did not go to the Mushroom Planet, unfortunately.
No, he did not go to the Mushroom Planet. But
and on that note,
yeah,
we see Robotnik's transformation. His more puffed up, destroyed looking mustache, and him kind of losing all sanity on the Mushroom Planet and vowing to get revenge and come back. So,
well, he's definitely going to need to get a really fat belly and then spindly legs in order to really look
he's on a mushroom planet to consume the mushrooms.
On my walk home from this movie, I was trying to figure out why I ended up enjoying it more than like Birds of Prey. And I think part of it is that I did go in with the lowest of expectations and it was able to easily clear that hurdle. But I think a bigger part of it is it's the way that they wrote Sonic, because I was kind of expecting Sonic to be like a smooth talking smart aleck. Like anytime Jason Bateman plays an animated character in a film, like that's what I was expecting Sonic to be. And I didn't have high hopes with John Ralphio from Parks and Recreation being the voice, but they made Sonic with a level of childlike wonder and glee
you have sympathy for him as well. Like he's actually sympathetic. Yeah, being alone and stuff, like these are things you can relate to. And
there's an earnestness about this film through everyone's performances, through like you said, he's alone, the wants and desires of his character. There's just something charming and earnest that so many other films lose. And it's weird of all movies to give that to us is the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, because Sonic the Hedgehog is always a character, or at least is a character who was established about being cool. Nintendo was slow and boring and that's your grandpa's video game right there. But Sonic's cool. He eats chili dogs. He has rappers on his soundtrack. Michael Jackson loves him. Everything about Sonic was supposed to be cool. And this film just doesn't at all go in that direction. Is they just treat him like a character who is likable because he is so gleeful. And I think that to me is why I ended up liking this movie and why it might be the best video game movie ever.
I know that's something. I'm still on the fence about it. Like all of that, I agree with up until the end, where they're like, "Here's your Olive Garden gift card for not talking to the media or whatever about your hedgehog thing."
I will take
Great
Olive
thanks,
Garden
bye.
commercial over the third act of Detective Pikachu any day, because at least
Definitely.
at least that one's over in 10 seconds. It's the weirdest. It's a weird turnaround for me because last week we talked about this. We were ready to trash this film. We were ready to destroy it.
But I do wonder though if we'll still feel the way in a few more months, because like I do think us having such rock bottom expectations, we might be giving something that is mediocre as hell, maybe more of a, I don't know. It's something like I said, I'm on the fence about still, where I'm like, is it really that good? Like I'm still, I feel like it is, but I'm still I have like a double take on it. I'm questioning my own beliefs right now. I'm like, what is this?
I feel like it's the bare bones of what I would consider to be good. Like, it doesn't have the world building that Detective Pikachu did so extraordinarily well. But as a movie that is, like you said, has a beginning, a middle, and an end, it's good.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'll still feel that same way a few months from now, but I'm shocked I feel that way now.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
I came out of the theater like, I can't believe how much I liked that. Sort of sitting there thinking about that for a while. So,
yeah,
that's something.
And dare I say, I'm looking forward to a sequel, which with the opening weekend, they just might get. So,
yeah, on that note, like, the delay worked out a hell of a lot better, because can you imagine if this would have come out in November?
Oh,
Can you
no.
imagine?
No, this thing would have bombed completely. Just going up against Frozen or Frozen in its second week with the original creepy ass design Sonic. Yeah, none of my feelings towards this film would be what they are if they didn't go back and redo Sonic's design for however many millions of dollars that cost them. That saved this movie, and I think that's why this movie is going to be a success. Again, it sucks that the special effects company went out of business, but at least they went out of business saving a movie.
Yeah, and hey, if there is like a Blu-ray cut if there is a Blu-ray with like an unedited cut, I'm buying that day one. I need to see this original take. I need to see the Coolio's Gangsters in Paradise version of this movie.
We need to get that trending like the Snyder cut. We just need Sonic original cut trending on Twitter. Let's get
Bring
everyone
back
in it.
the teeth.
Yeah, just get Greg Miller to take his shirt off, and I'm sure they'll do it because that gets stuff done. Any last thoughts on Sonic?
No, which is weird. It's a perfectly just okay movie. The theater I was in was packed, and the kids that were there loved it, which sort of blew me away. And I was like, wow, this is solid kids movie and like an okay movie overall.
Yeah.
Even though the ending was what it was.
An Olive Garden commercial. Because when you're there, you're family.